Okay, so we're going to start by creating the first part of the interactive media product, which is going to be a drag and drop game, mini game. Okay, now it's straightforward identifying parts of the face. Okay, so first of all we need to set up everything set up, get the assets set up, get the layers set up, and then we can start to create the interactivity. So the first thing you need to do, so this is what it's going to look, roughly what it's going to look like. The first, we need to create a new movie. So File, New. Make sure here you select ActionScript 2. We're going to be working in ActionScript 2. Frame rate, we will reduce down. We'll take that to 10 actually. So frame rate 10. Stage, we also need to change. We're going to make it wider. So if we double that, so we 550 to 1100, we'll keep the height the same. That should look okay. Just check that. So you can see the stage is kind of stretched now. Double click on the hand and we can have a look at that. So that looks fine. So that's set up. Now if we go back to the one I made earlier, if we look at the layers here, we have the ActionScript layer, we have the layer for basically for instructions and text boxes, dynamic text boxes here, and the main menu link button. Then we have the draggers, the things we're actually going to be dragging over the head, and then the drag to, which is the head itself. Okay, so we need to set those up. So that's 4 layers. So we've got top one is AS for ActionScript, then we have call it text actually, title, and then we have draggers, and then we have drag to. Okay, so those are our 4 layers. Next thing is give it a name, file, save as, and we'll call it interactive media presentation. Okay. Right, so so I think we'll start with the drag to, which is basically the face itself. So the first thing to do is draw out a simple face. Okay, that's our first asset. I'm going to change the colour of the background. So we'll go to Modify, Document, and we can change the background colour here. So I'll leave it to you to select an appropriate background colour, whichever you want, whatever you want. Now, with the paintbrush, I'm going to keep this fairly simple because it's an example. We'll just use a black line, and then we can begin to draw out the face. Okay, so as you can see, I've skipped the bit where drawing the face. So don't spend a lot of time on drawing the face, just because this is just to understand the technique. So just a simple face. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select the different parts of the face that we're going to that we're going to name. Okay, so to select them, if you use the lasso tool, okay, which should be familiar. Then if we start, we'll select the main areas. So we're going to select the hair first of all. Okay, so we'll draw around the hair. Okay, once you've selected each part, if you right click, convert to symbol, make sure the type is movie clip, and give it an obvious name, so I'll call it hair. Just make sure the registration is centered there, and just because I've got another movie open in here, I'll just call it Hair 1, but you can just call yours Hair, that's fine. Okay, okay, now we'll do the eyes. Just watch when you select parts that you've only got to redo that, yeah, that you don't accidentally select the other parts. I'll try and do that again without selecting the hair like I just did. Okay, so we've got the eyes there. Right click, red symbol, eyes, oh yeah, so eyes 1. Okay, and so on. So we've got the left ear, naming it left ear because to the character, it's the character's left ear. So left ear. What's the other one? I'll just put a little underscore between L and E. There we go. Right here. Nose. Try and when you select, particularly smaller areas like the nose, if you do accidentally select another movie clip, you just control click. So, that didn't work. I'll have to do that again. So say if you just control click on the movie clip, you should be able to deselect it, but it doesn't seem to work then. Okay, so I've selected the nose, right click, again, go to symbol, nose, and then finally the mouth. Sorry, I've got to put one after it again. And finally the mouth. Oh god, it's not sinking in, that is it? Put one after it. Okay, so we've got the face divided up into separate movie clips now. Now what we also need to do is give them instance names. So we'll keep the naming simple. So we'll keep the instance name simple. Hair. So obviously, if you remember the properties panel at the top here, there's an empty dialog box with instance name in it. That's where you put them. So. Okay, so we've named everything. So that is that stage. That's naming. So that is the drag to layer done. Okay, so what we're going to do now is create the draggers. So there's going to be 6 draggers. So we'll start with the nose. So we type in the word nose. Okay, using the text tool. We can then turn that into a movie clip. So if we right click, convert to symbol, call it, keep it simple, call it nose, make sure you select type as movie clip. Already taken, that's because I have the other file open, so I'll call mine nose 1, but if you just call yours nose, oh heck, hang on, I must have a nose 1 as well. I'll just put a number on the end of mine, but don't worry, yours can just be nose. So that's our movie clip. If we double click on the movie clip to go inside, we'll see this layer here. What we're going to do is we're going to create a second layer. Okay, I'm going to drag it underneath the layer with the text on, and in here we're just going to create a rectangle which will go behind the text. Okay, it doesn't matter about the colour because it's going to be invisible anyway. Mine actually is invisible because it's the same colour as the background. But you have a rectangle there. You can see mine selected there. What I would suggest is locking the layer with the text on so you don't accidentally select it. So we've got the rectangle selected there. If you right click on that, again convert to symbol, but this time we're going to turn that rectangle into a button. Okay, so we'll just call it nose dragger. It's fine. Nose dragger. So that's a button. So that's turn that into a button now. All we need to do now is double click on that button to go inside the button. And if we drag on the keyframe, we've got the actual rectangle itself. If we just drag the rectangle to the hit, sorry, do that again. Drag it to the hit state here. That will actually make it invisible. It'll still be there, it'll still be active, so you still be able to click on it, but it'll be invisible. So we've dragged it to hit. So we go back to nose 2 at the top here, or nose in your case, and you'll see you've basically created your dragger there. Now we're still inside the movie clip. What we need to do now is attach some script to the dragger. So I'm just going to reference my original here. Just check. Now this action script is going to be on Moodle, okay, for you to download. So you just select the script. We'll talk a bit more about what this script does when we come to it. That's your script, and that goes on the button, should I say. Okay, so copy that script, go back to mine here. Just make sure that it's the button that's selected. You can double check you've selected the button by going over to the properties panel here and double checking it says button there. Then with the action scripts panel, if it's not open, if the action script panel isn't open, just go to window and actions, and that will open that panel, and then click inside the panel, right click and paste that script in. Okay, now the important bit is the bit here where it says drop target. Now our target, if you remember, when we create the drag 2 areas, we gave each part of the face a name. Now we kept the naming simple, and we called the nose area nose, yeah? So this is actually referencing the drag 2 area that we created before. So just make sure that that matches up to where you're going to drag it to. Okay, you can do a quick syntax check, click on the blue tick, and no problems there. Okay, so that's how you create the dragger. So it's basically now a question of just making sure that name that I just mentioned in the script matches where you're dragging it to, and then repeating what we've just done with the nose for the different parts of the face. Okay, I'll do one more just to make sure that you're clear on that. So now I've made a typical mistake here. What I've done is I've not checked my layers, and I've created the dragger on the drag 2 layer, so I just need to select it, cut it out and paste it onto the drag 2 layer. Okay, so basic error there, make sure it's on the draggers layer. So I'm going to repeat that now so if we do something a bit, let me have a look. So if we maybe do right ear. So if we just check, now we created a right ear to drag to here, and we called it R_ear, yeah? So on the draggers layer, we will type out the word right ear. We will then turn that into a movie clip, right click, convert to symbol, movie clip, we'll call it right here. Now remember to change it back to movie clip there. So we've got a movie clip, go inside that, create our second layer, drag underneath the text layer, create our rectangle, same as last time. So I'll leave the black line because it doesn't really matter because we won't see it anyway. Lock the layer with the text on, then select just the rectangle. That means we're not selecting the text as well because it's locked on that layer. So just the rectangle, right click on the rectangle, invert to symbol, excuse me, and select button. Okay, again, just give it a name. Okay, so we've done that. Now the important bit is the script. Okay, now the script goes on this button here. So I'm going to paste, on my clipboard I've got the script that we use for the nose still on here, so I can just paste that in. Oh, I thought I'd be able to. Let me just go back and get that off there then. So if I go back into the nose, I can take that script from the nose and reuse because it's the same apart from the name. So I'll copy that, no point in typing it all out again, and that can be pasted. I'll go inside the right here, select the movie clip and paste that in. Now the bit, like I mentioned before, the important bit is this here. I'm going to delete nose, make sure you leave the forward slash. Okay, now this has got to match where we're dragging it to, so if I go back to scene 1 and just click on right here, now we call it R_ here. So what I suggest doing is actually copying that text so it's exactly the same. Yeah, right here, that's where we're dragging to. Go back inside the right here dragger, yeah, and in that empty space we created, just paste that in so we know it matches where we're dragging it to. Okay, so and then now it's a question of repeating that for left ear, hair, eyes and mouth, yeah, and then we'll have all our draggers. Okay, so I'm gonna let you do that bit now, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, this the next bit involves the text layer. This is where we create what's called dynamic text. Now this is text that you can actually get the text box that text will load into that can be controlled by ActionScript. So we can control what text appears in the box, and it appears it's triggered by the game. Okay, now there are two text boxes, one that tells us where we're dragging the word to is right or wrong, and then another box that when we've got them all right tells us well done, or you know, it can say whatever you want, but tells you you've got them all right. So to create the dynamic text boxes, select the text tool. Here we've got a pop down menu, change from static text to dynamic text. Now these formatting options here control what the text will look like when it appears in the box. So obviously, you know, that's kind of design decision. Font, color, size, so you can change that, and it will change how it appears. So we drag out the text box. Now this is, we'll drag the one for right and wrong up here. Okay, so we've created out. Now we can tell it's a dynamic text box because it's got when we deselect it, it's still there as a dotted line. So if we select that, and then sorry, I'm going to refer back and just double check the names. I think I called it right answer. Sorry, answer field. Now we give that a bit like giving a movie clip an instance name. We give that a specific name, answer_field is the instance name. We also give it a variable name because it's what the text that can appear in there is variable. It can either say right or wrong. Okay, so we give it a variable name as well, which is answer1. So answer field, answer_field, and answer1. So go back. So field and the variable box answer1. Okay, so those are our two names. Press enter to make sure it's applied. Now we move to the well done or congratulations box. So text tool again, and we'll drag out another text box and place that here, and that, if I remember correctly, is called end comment, but I'll just double check the naming. That has the variable name end comment. I haven't actually given it an instance name because I didn't need to. So variable name end. Now these are the two, just incidentally, the two main ways you can name things when you're using scripting. You can either put an underscore between letters, or you can begin between words, or you can begin the second word with a capital. So with answer field we use the underscore in between. With end comment, just to show you the difference, we haven't put the underscore in, we've put the capital C of comment to show that there's two separate words. So that's in the variable box, so we'll go back to the beginning, to my version, and end comments like that. Press enter to make sure that's in. And now finally on this text layer, we're going to create a link back to the main menu, which we haven't created yet, but we will create. Okay, now simple text just to tell us that we're going to create a button, but we need to tell people that it's going back to the main menu. So type in main menu, that's way too big, so we'll scale that down and use a capital there. Okay, so that's our main menu text, simple text. Just change it back to static text here. Okay, and then we will just for the moment create a simple button. Again, when you come to make yours, you can make more decisions about what these things look like. I'm not really designing this, I'm just keeping everything very simple. We're getting the structure in place. So we want to create a button, so I will select a circle shape, and we can drag out, holding down shift, we can drag out a perfect circle. Select that, right click, convert to symbol, select button, we'll call it main menu, and that's our button. There is some script on there which would be a good idea to put on now. You should hopefully recognise this, quite straightforward. On release, go to and stop m_m. Now what we'll do is we'll call the main menu scene, we'll create a frame on there called m_m, which we can link back to. Okay, so again, well, I'll tell you what, we'll type that out actually. So on release, go to and stop m_m. So we'll select the button, down to the actions panel. Now we can use, if you remember, nested in here, we've got pre-written bits of script. If we go in movie clip control here, double click on, select release, click after the opening curly bracket here, we go down to timeline control, and we go to and stop, and then in the brackets after that we put in m_m inside inverted commas. Okay, again, if you remember, it's green because it's a name. This is a good thing to remember. Blue tick, check the syntax is correct, there's no problems there. So I'll just double check, but that's everything on the title layer. That's everything. Oh, the other thing, sorry, I'd already put in with the instructions. Again, this is simple static text. Drag the names of the facial features to the correct place on the drawing. So when you create yours, obviously create straightforward instructions telling the player what to do. Okay, we've just come to the very last bit now, which is the action script layer, which is at the top here. There's just a final piece of script we need to attach to this frame on the action script layer. This is the script which we don't think we looked at last week, so I'll go over it again. So stop action you should be familiar with, which just stops the needle at that frame, which actually we don't need because there are no other frames after that. But if we did, then it would be useful to have it there. All correct equals 0. So at the start of the game, the score is set to 0. Then obviously it checks if all the answers are correct. So once all correct equals 6, it displays the end comment well done in the end comment dynamic text box that we created earlier. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. So again, this will be on Moodle. I'm just going to copy and paste it over. Sorry, I'm not, because I've already done that. So that is our text, that's our action script. So that makes this final dynamic text box work. The other thing you need to do with this newer version of Flash, it would display, wouldn't display the text correctly in the dynamic text boxes at the moment. To make sure it does, just select the text boxes one at a time, go over to properties here, and you see where it says embed, click on there and just make sure that this, where it says character ranges, that all is ticked. I'm not sure that will do for that as well. Let me just check the other box. So embed, select the other box. Yeah, so that's done it now. That's applied that to any text box we create. Okay, so you only need to do that once. Now it's the acid test. We'll test it. Control, test movie, Flash Professional, and hopefully we drag, we name correctly, and we get the correct correct appears, which was left. I think it's his left ear. Yep. His right ear. Yep. And the nose. All correct. Well done. Okay, so we've got all the, if we're liking this to, well, it is a game. We've got all the mechanics in place now to make a fully working game. So it's down to you now to fit it to your theme and redesign it, using this as a structure to build on. Okay, now what you can do is create it again from scratch, or you can, any of these assets we've created here, like the face, you can simply delete them and recreate them, using what you just created for reference. I mean, what you can even do with the draggers is you can go inside these movie clips and recreate you could delete this, what's in the movie clip, and recreate something new. I would probably, it's up to you, but I would probably suggest creating a new one from scratch and just referencing this one. Okay.